Hello friends, my name is Lisa if we haven't met. If we have, welcome back to my pottery studio. I am very glad you're here today. I feel like experimenting. So what I'm going to do is some glaze testing, and I'm going to show you how I am a very lazy glaze tester. If that sounds interesting to you, stick around. So I have about 20 glaze tests that I want to run, but I'm feeling very lazy and I don't want to individually batch 20 different glazes. Now, I'm going to be the first person to tell you that that is the proper way to test glazes. That's just not what I'm going to do. I think that sometimes we look at glaze testing, or if you've been doing some glaze testing for a little while, you can go, oh man, it's like so time consuming, and it kind of wastes a lot of materials. You feel like you're wasting a lot of materials. And as such, then we just don't glaze test as often. And I think that there's still so many amazing glazes that are out there to be discovered, but it takes it takes a lot of time and it takes a lot of energy. And so typically we kind of like settle on a set of glazes that we like in our studio, and then we just stick with that. But to be honest with you, I'm kind of tired of a lot of the glazes I have, or I'm ready to experiment and find something new. And something that I discovered when I was setting up my glaze database, and if you haven't seen that video, I will put a link to it. This is what the thumbnail looks like if you want to go find it after this video, of course. But as I was setting up that glaze database, it occurred to me, and as I was kind of parsing around through my data, that I have this wonderful, beautiful matte glaze that I use all the time, a basic white matte glaze that I formulated specifically for my clay body so that it doesn't craze, it doesn't shiver, it's just a perfect glaze fit for my porcelain. And I haven't tested it with any other colorants yet. So what I'm going to do today is about 20 different glaze tests. I have them kind of outlined on this spreadsheet of what I want to do using that same base matte glaze. Now, I don't, again, want to batch out 20 different glazes. So I'm going to batch about 5 cups of glaze, 5 100-gram cups of glaze. And out of each cup, I'm going to get 4 different tests. So this is going to make a lot more sense as we go through it, but I'm going to show you the whole process, my whole process. We're going to look at the results together at the end, see if we get anything interesting. And if we do, then we can take that test and maybe do a little bit more refined, proper testing with it. But for now, this is going to get me back into doing some glaze testing and hopefully getting some interesting results, and keeps me motivated to stay in the glaze game. I'm going to get all my stuff together first. As I mentioned, I need 5 cups. I use these deli style container cups. I think these are like half a quart, if I'm right. I will link them below. I get them on Amazon. I'm also going to need my scale. I have this scale linked below as well. It's probably the second or third scale that I've gotten, and I love it so far. With that, I have my safety glasses. I'll probably use these other like little sauce cups as well. Masking tape is important. I will probably wear my mask. And of course, we need some test tiles. So I make these in bulk. When I run out, I just make another batch of them. And I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Let's do there's gonna be 4 per cup. So 4 for this cup, 4 for this cup, and 4 for this cup. Yeah, that might be all I need. Before I get carried away, I am going to label each cup, and I'm just gonna say cup 1, cup 2, cup 3, cup 4, cup 5. So you know what? I could actually just write it on here. 2. The most important thing is that you have a good system. It's pretty organized. And anytime you're glaze testing, you absolutely want to make sure that whatever you do, you can redo, because the worst thing ever would be to come up with the most amazing glaze and then not be able to recreate it. Now on this sheet, I have the base glaze that I'm going to use. It's the same base glaze for each test that I'm going to run. And I am going to batch out this base glaze into each cup. And I'm just going to do one material at a time. So I have 44 grams of Mahavir, and I'm going to do 44 grams of Mahavir in each cup. And then I will go to the next ingredient, which is zinc oxide. And I've got 16 grams of zinc oxide, measure that into each cup. And the way that I keep it straight so that I make sure that I don't like put the same ingredient in twice or forget an ingredient in anything is just very basic. I just move all of my cups to one side like this. And then I keep a little bit of space in between them. And so after I batch this cup, I just move it over and I keep a big gap in between them. And then I know this one has the ingredient, this one doesn't. And I just work left to right. So I use a smaller deli cup to weigh everything out, put it on my scale, tar it, or zero it out. So now this is zeroed out. I am going to put on my mask, but I'm going to measure out 44 grams of Mahavir, which is what I have in this cup right here. And I'm going to do that for each of my 5 test cups. Okay, so I have all of my Mahavir in each of the 5 cups measured out. So I'm going to put this away and move on to the next ingredient. One thing I do that makes my life a lot easier is I fill these larger deli containers with just a bunch of the material that I'm using so that I don't have to go over to my big containers. This is like my backstock of everything. And so when this runs out, I just turn around, fill it back up. But then it's just a easier workflow like this. Less of this, right? So my next ingredient is zinc, and I'm going to do the exact same thing. I have 16 grams of zinc to go into each cup. Again, just keeping track by where those cups are and keeping them spaced so I know what I've added and what I haven't added, using this cup to measure each batch out. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and just batch out the rest of my base glaze. I am going to post this base glaze up on my website. If you're interested in it, you're welcome to go check it out so you have all the ingredients and the measurements and stuff like that. Yeah, let's get going. Okay, now that we have all the dry materials for all the cups batched out, I'm going to go ahead and add the water. Now, in most glaze recipes, it'll tell you by percentage of the dry batch weight how much water to add. I've always tested this and I've always batched this with 95% water, which means that per 100 grams, I have 95 grams of water. So I'm going to measure out 95 grams of water and put that into each cup. And I know a lot of you are going to tell me that I could do 95 milliliters and that would be 95 grams, I think. I still do it this way. I don't know. I've tried that, but I don't know. It just doesn't register for me so well. So I think I feel like I have better skill at pouring and getting to the right amount than I do like with the syringe method. Although I will use one, if I have it. I should have one on hand over here. Oh, I've got I use a little pipette to help pull out if I get too much. Oh wait, this is 86. I need 95. Often it's 85, so I'm going to go 95. If it's 95.2, I don't worry too much about that. But I'll go ahead and pour that into one. 95 grams of water for you. 95 grams of water for you. So I just find it more efficient to kind of batch everything this way. I mean, you could certainly do 1 cup at a time, 1 ingredient at a time. I don't know. I just go like, if I have this material out, I'm going to batch all of it. And water being material, I just do all my water at the same time. 95 grams of water for you. And 95 grams of water for you. Now moving on from here, I am going to focus on just 1 cup. So I'm going to start in order based on my little spreadsheet here of what I'm going to do. And I'm just going to go ahead and put a lid on the other 4 cups. It doesn't particularly bother me leaving them sit like this. We're going to mix them up shortly. They'll just kind of slake in the water for a little bit. But I also want to make sure that I don't actually spill them or, get another material in them by mistake. I'm going to do this. And I'm just going to keep their tiles with them and we'll put them aside. The next most important thing to have is a really awesome immersion blender, and I can't find the attachment for it. Come on. Where could it be? Where could it be? Seems like something I would consider myself an organized person and then, oh, there it is. Yay. All right, I got it. I'm not too worried about the mask at the moment. Take that off. I have this blender linked below. I have burned through a number of immersion blenders. Trust me, the cheaper ones will just squeal like a banshee after not very long. They're really not intended probably for this use, but we make them work. And what we're gonna do is blend this up like that. It can splatter, and I'm gonna modify one of these lids to cover it. So hold on one second. It's not like an exact thing, but just gives you a little bit of splatter protection. Okay. All right. The other thing I like to have on hand is a bucket of water to rinse this off in, and I forgot that too. Hang on. have you over here. I got my test sheet over here. I'm gonna mix this first, and I am gonna be pretty good and sieve it one time or maybe 2 times to put it back into this cup. I'm gonna use this as my sieve cup. So what I'll do, I'm gonna put my mask back on, but I'll put my glasses on. Come back around here, cover this up, and we're just gonna blitz it. We're gonna try to get it as mixed up as well as we possibly can. I like these deli containers too, because you can kind of see, like you can peek and see where there's material like stuck to the edge. And a good zhuzh. Okay. This is made by Talisman. It's from New Zealand. It's an 80 mesh sieve, and it's just the perfect size to fit in these cups. So I am going to sieve the base glaze. I'm not going to probably sieve in between each test because, again, we're being lazy, right? And sieving just means we're running the glaze through this guy just to make sure there's no lumps and clumps, right? And because each base glaze is the same recipe effectively, I'm going to pour this back into here. I'll reuse this cup to sieve the other 4. Next, on my spreadsheet here, I've got each cup kind of mapped out, and it's a little bit color coded. I will post this on my website on the same blog that I put this base glaze recipe on, just so that you can kind of see how it's organized. But effectively what I'm going to do is I am going to do a test in this first cup that basically all have chrome. So I'm going to start with 0.2% chrome. I'm going to dip a test tile, see how that comes out. Then to that, I'm going to add 0.2% copper carb. So I'll have a chrome and copper combo in this cup. I will dip a test tile. I will set it aside. Then I'm going to add titanium dioxide and dip a test tile and set it aside. Now I know that each time that you dip a tile and pull it out, you're removing some material. And so then like your recipe is slightly off. Yes, it is. It's so minute though. I feel like it's such a small amount that honestly, like even in just sieving it, some material was lost, right? So, but it is such a small fraction. And in my experience, those really tiny fractional differences are just like kind of even rounding errors. Like I'm not 1,000% precise when I measure out materials. Like this scale goes to 2 decimals over, what is that, the hundredths, tenths, hundredth? And if I need like 18 grams and it's 18.08, I usually go with that. Like that is such a small delta. Now, if you were in industry, if you were like making commercial glazes for like a tile factory or something, I'm sure you want to be a lot more precise. But for me, I will drive myself nuts trying to get it spot on the scale. So I rarely do. And so in this, I just have kind of the same philosophy that yes, there is a small amount of glaze being removed. And when I add more, another colorant to it, the exact recipe is like maybe a couple hundredths of a gram off, but I'm okay with that. Again, I just want to get a sense of like what kind of reaction am I going to get out of this? Like I have not done a Mahavir zinc based glaze, meaning Mahavir is my alkaline metal. It is it's basically a potassium alkaline metal. And I haven't done that with zinc, which we kind of treat like an alkaline earth. I haven't done that combination with chrome yet. And I haven't done that combination with chrome and copper and titanium dioxide. And so I'm going to do this as just a quick lazy test, but it might give me a sense of like what these materials are going to do. And then if it seems interesting, I can take that glaze recipe, try to recreate it, maybe tweak it a little bit, maybe do a little bit more chrome or a little bit less chrome, or, and I could play with it and kind of fine tune it from there. But right now I just want to get some new glazes to start exploring. So this is kind of the lazy way to do it, but I did actually lie. So my first colorant in cup is going to be cobalt carb, not chrome, cobalt carbonate. And I use these metal sheet measuring spoons to measure out these materials. And I will do them typically on a small piece of paper. I'm probably gonna have to get some more paper here. Unless I've got some over here. No, I need to get some more of these little squares of paper. So, okay, so when I'm measuring out the very, very tiny amounts of like colorants, because we're looking at like 0.2 grams, I just use a little piece of paper and I put that on my scale and zero that out. And then I just measure my material directly onto that piece of paper, and then I'll add it into here. So. Okay, once that's in there, I'm gonna mix it up, and then I'm gonna dip my first test tile. Before I dip it though, I am gonna put on the bottom of this in my underglaze pencil the name of this test. And so I kind of gave all these a name just back when I laid this out. You can name them anything. Oftentimes I just think of like a cartoon character or something and I go with like their initials. So it might be like, I don't know, maybe that day I'm feeling like Scooby-Doo. And so it'll be like SD1 and SD2 and SD3. Or I might name it kind of based on what the glaze is. Like this is Mahavir zinc. So it might be MZ1 or MZ2. I just have to come up with names that I haven't already used to reference each one. And I've done a lot of glaze tests already, so I've had to start getting creative because when I look back in my database, if I sort for a glaze, I only want one tile to come back. Otherwise that could get very confusing. So, all right, I had my underglaze pencil out here somewhere. This is like your tape measure. Like, why do I always lose it? Okay, so I'm gonna write the name. This one I just have MH1, and I get that queued up and ready to dip. I'm gonna blitz this. And I usually do a 6-second dip. That's kind of my 1 1000, 2 1000, 3 1000, 4 1000, 5 1000. Now, in your standard proper glaze testing world, that would kind of be all that you do. You would maybe save this, or maybe it would be wasted. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to get 3 more glaze tests out of this cup. Now, obviously, they're all going to have cobalt in it now because I can't take the cobalt out. But now I'm going to look at, well, what would a cobalt plus 0.2% chrome in here look like? So I'm going to grab my chrome oxide, my little piece of paper, 0. Oh, glasses on. I'm going to get a clean measuring spoon, and this is going to be 0.2%. It's a very tiny amount. Okay. And so it's kind of submerged then. Blitz this. Oops, I forgot to write MH2 on this guy, so. Same thing, 6 seconds. 1,000, 2 1000, 3 1000, 4 1000, 5 1000, 6 1000. Okay. So this is going to be MH3. I'm going to go ahead and write MH4 in this one. Be ready. And now I'm going to add copper carb. And this is going to be 0.2% copper carb.
Lovers come, lovers go. Their hearts seem to change, but mine's still the same. 'Cause I still love them all. It's not to blame, it's just the way it is.
Okay, so that test now had chrome, cobalt, chrome, and copper. And now just to see what happens, I want to add titanium dioxide. Titanium dioxide does interesting things in glazes. And one of the coolest discoveries I ever made was because I just happened to add titanium dioxide to one of my studio glazes and it transformed things. And that's a story for another day. But I'm going to add 1 gram of titanium dioxide because it's not as powerful as like the oxides and carbonates in my opinion. So I'm going to start with 1 gram. I just realized I had this already. I don't need to, that was my back stock. So
One more Saturday night, you're wearing them jeans so tight. I'll keep waiting for the perfect moment.
okay, now that I have all 4 tiles dipped and ready to be fired from this cup, I'm just going to go ahead and put a lid on it because you never know if if MH4 turns out to be just a stunning glaze, I'm going to keep this because then I'll give it a proper name and might make it a studio glaze. I might want to turn this into, I could add some CMC gum to make it brushable, or maybe I just want to have a little small batch of it for who knows what, but I'm going to hang on to it. And we will move over to the next 4 cups. But before I do that, I do want to mark off on here that I did each of these so I don't lose track of where I'm at. Now on the next one, I'm going to start with chrome first. So I'll just have one test that has chrome, and then I'm adding to that cobalt car, but these are in different quantities. So I'm starting with, this will just be 0.1% of each. So very similar to that one, but like half the amount of these other ingredients. So, and I'll have one glaze that just has chrome in it, one test that just has chrome in it, nothing else with this next round. So I'm going to speed you guys all up, and then we will touch base after I get all this done. I'm going to set myself up a little bit better too. I'm going to move this, I think, over here. I'll start collecting these right there. For each of my materials that I'm going to use again, I think I'll just keep them lined up right here. Get a rag. That way I'm not dripping across my paper. Okay, so titanium with chrome. All right. All right, I am on my very last test. I just wanted to make a couple notes for you in case it wasn't clear in that time lapse. But in between each dip, I am just resting my immersion blender in this little cup here. But then in between each cup, I am rinsing that out in the bucket and rinsing out this cup in the bucket, just because I am going between a bunch of different materials and I don't want this to contaminate the next cup. Also, about halfway through, I did rinse out this bucket and clean it out too, and then move forward just to kind of eliminate any other cross-contamination between these colorants. Some of these colorants are very, very powerful, so they could really affect your glaze tests. And I am, even though I'm being lazy, I'm still being conscious of that. I've also, you probably noticed, but I use one piece of paper and one spoon for each material. And I just kind of keep those together. So every time I use like the chrome, I use that piece of paper and that spoon. And that just kind of helps keep also the contamination risk down, I should say. But the last one I have is just a little bit of titanium dioxide in this last cup. So I'm going to batch that real quick. Hang on. 1 gram. It's always funny to me, like a lot of the materials have different, obviously different properties, but some of them are like, you know, they weigh a lot, and so a very little amount, or they're kind of sticky, or they're more of a pain in the butt to measure out. Anyway, now that I'm done with all these papers, I just toss these, they just go in the trash. And we're gonna blitz this and dip our last tile. Also, I did, so in each cup, when I batched it, before I added any of the colorants, I did blitz it and run it through the sieve. But I did not sieve in between each, like after each colorant, because then you'd have to wash the sieve every time and rinse out the sieve cup that you're using every time. So, and I'm being lazy, so I didn't do that. You should probably sieve, I think, everything, but I don't think it's, like I said, I don't think for the purposes of what I'm doing that it was really necessary. But I did sieve each cup once I mixed just the base glaze. I made a mistake on one and then I had to wash everything. So but you know what I mean. All right, we have now 20 tests. I think that was in under 30 minutes. So that's pretty good. I want to say my time lapse says it was like 27 minutes. So not bad, not bad. I only have 5 cups of glaze to either dispose of. If everything comes out looking like pond scum, you know, we'll just toss it out and try again. But I will keep them because if they are awesome glazes, then I can use them. If not, we will dispose of them. Anyway, I'm going to clean up. I'm debating, I could put these in the kiln right now. I probably will put these in the kiln right now because then, you know, I don't have to be too patient. They should be done firing by the time I go to bed tonight. My challenge is that I have like an 8:30 bedtime. So if it's 4 o'clock, this will take 5 hours. Shoot, I don't know. I'll probably wait till the morning to fire it. So anyway, I'm just going to clean up and we will get these in the kiln and we'll see what we get.
We'd be unshakable. You and me with it so fine. Just tell me how to make you mine, and girl, we'd be unbreakable. We'll get past Sunday morning. There's a future for us that's dawning.
Okay, friends, the kiln has cooled. Very excited. On Girl Scouts Honor, I haven't peeked yet. I haven't looked in there. I don't know how any of these came out. Hopefully they don't all look like baby poop, which could happen. But all right, let's see. Ooh, oh, okay. Oh, we got some lovely blues. Lovely blues. I'm just gonna pull this whole tile out. Blues not expected. I did have a lot of cobalt. And yeah, they're like all shades of blue and green. Which is a little bit surprising because I thought that manganese would do a little bit more interesting stuff, but lots of blues and greens. But they are all quite soft and lovely. Let's take them over to the table and we'll kind of line them up based on that spreadsheet so we know what's what. All right, so I got them all lined up based on how they were. Did you see that? Caught it. These are a little wobbly. I should set them down, but not too surprising on all the tests that had any amount of cobalt carb in it. They all came out a varying shade of blue, but they're very, very similar. So you will notice on this one, this is just the base glaze with chrome. I did chrome first and then added the cobalt carb. And I got this really, really, really pretty, lovely, soft pink, like pastel-y pink. So this is gonna be, and it's not surprising because we know that chrome and zinc will make pink, and zinc was in our base glaze. So do you like that? Because it's just really soft and lovely. I'm a little bit surprised on this one. This was copper carb first, and it is like a very subtle, barely green. And I kind of want to come back to this one in particular. I want to up the amount of copper carb in this and see where it goes because I think it could be interesting. But then, yep, after I put in any amount of cobalt, they just went blue. The fourth row here, the fourth cup, the only one that really came out like very poorly. So this was manganese. So any amount of manganese in this base glaze, it appears created a lot of bubbling, blistering. And then the one that fourth dip where we added titanium dioxide, it got really gnarly. So now we know manganese in this base glaze might not be a good bet. And then nickel, I think I already knew would kind of get me this really beautiful like robin's egg. I already have a similar glaze to that, but with the nickel, I added tin to this one, and then this one had tin and copper, and then this one added the tie-dye, and when I added titanium dioxide, it went like a really pretty soft green. I hope you guys can kind of see that on camera, but this is a really, really pretty green, and so now I'm wondering if the titanium dioxide helps pull out the copper. I'm not sure, but I want to do, basically I want to take this combination and play with it a little bit more and maybe do another cup of tests, modifying a few things. So maybe keeping nickel the same amount. I don't know that the tin really does anything for me there, and tin's kind of an expensive ingredient. So I'm gonna take that out, and then I'm gonna play with the ratios of copper carb and titanium dioxide and see if I can pull this green out, because I don't have a green that's like this at all yet. It's just, I think it's really lovely. So not a fail. Actually got a couple really good options that I'm going to set that down. I did, if you noticed, I broke one of these when I put it into when I was transferring it over to the kiln, and I busted off the bottom piece. So I ended up just wiping the glaze off the side and firing it on the side. But anyway, I don't know if you guys enjoy glazes as much as I do, but if you do, I'd really appreciate it if you gave me a like and a subscribe, and I'll keep creating more content. I really appreciate you being here. It means the world to me, and I hope you found this interesting. So leave a comment below too if you have any questions, and I will see you on the next video. Thanks, guys.